Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, we've been looking at the fruits of the Spirit. So we wrap that up today by looking at this idea of the last one being self-control. It may be one of the most challenging ones when I think about it. Sometimes we look at another individual and, well, if that were me, this is what I would have done. Or we try to tell someone what they ought to do. All the while, sometimes we have a real struggle of simply controlling ourselves. What I mean when I say controlling ourselves is, have you ever said something that you wished you wouldn't have said? You couldn't control the tongue. Have you ever done something that you wish you wouldn't have done? You couldn't control your actions. Have you ever went somewhere that you shouldn't have went? You had a hard time controlling that. It's hard for us to control ourselves, let alone try to tell somebody else what to do. This word here in our text in Galatians 5 is the same word that Paul uses in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 25, where he's talking about the idea of an athlete disciplines their body. In other words, they try to control their body. If you go to a track meet and, for example, Jaden throws the hammer and they're spinning and they're spinning and they're spinning and then they release that hammer. I'm thinking, man, I'd get dizzy and fall down. But because of practice, they've been able to discipline their bodies to do that. They've been able to exercise self-control over their body to perform that specific action. Or somebody that's pole vaulting, how they go up above their pole and over the bar. It's amazing how they can do that. They've learned to discipline their body. Through practice and effort, they've learned to practice self-control in what they're doing. And, in our lives, we must diligently strive every day to discipline our bodies. We must diligently strive every day to exercise self-control, to think before you speak, to think before you do, to think before you go. The reality is we have to be mindful of that which God would want us to do, of that which is right, that which we should do, and that which we should and should not say. Self-control does not always come naturally. It's something that we have to be aware of and that we have to be mindful of. But our lives will be much more pleasant. There will be more peace in our lives. There will be a greater relationship with God when we learn to control ourselves. I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today. I pray that you have a good day, and I pray that God will be glorified in all that you do today.